Hey, what up YouTube? It's Team Edward TCG. Now, as you all know, Konami is going to change the way most card texts are written come July. And so Kevin Tewart just released his third article that talks about what changes we can expect to see on the card texts. And so I'm just going to give you a rundown. If you haven't seen our previous video, you should go check that out now. I'll leave a link right like here or something. And so yeah, we'll read this article. So basically the big changes that are happening is going to involve knowing like what the conditions are for effects and what happens after you activate them and what happens when card effects are resolved. So the way they're going to break it down on the card text to let us know which happens when, they're going to use colons and semicolons. And so basically text that tells you when effects activate are going to be before any colon, and anything after a colon will explain what happens after you activate a card. And after that, they'll show you there may or may not be a semicolon, and after the semicolon, whatever the text reads after the semicolon, that's going to tell you what happens after the effect is resolved. So a good example they have here is 7 Tools of the Bandit. Okay, the new text will say, when a trap card is activated, colon, pay 1,000 life points, semicolon, negate the activation, and destroy it. So before the colon, it tells you when you can activate the effect. After the colon, it tells you what happens when you activate the effect. And then after the semicolon, it's what happens after the effect is resolved. So any costs will be before a semicolon, and all the resolutions will be after the semicolon. So this is really helpful when figuring out what's going on, if there are problems or complications or confusions regarding chains. So a chain will be like this. The activation text, which is before the semicolon, you do all that on each individual card in a chain before the resolution text, which is the text after the semicolon. So chains still resolve backwards as always, and so you go through it step by step, looking at each text before and after the colons, and that'll definitely help you to make it more easier to understand. So that's basically it. There isn't really much else. We'll keep an eye out for part 4 in the series because we're not done yet, and I'll leave a link to this article in the description so you guys can read for yourselves to make sure you guys are all current and understanding what's going to be read with the card text in the future. I think the best thing about these new card texts is you could still read the same cards text, like you could read them the same way you used to read them, just ignoring the colons and semicolons, and they'll still read the same way. So you only look at those if you have a complication, and you really won't need to pay attention to them unless you're like a hardcore player. So it really won't affect the game that much. It'll just still make it easier. So I really like it. So just leave a comment telling us what you think, and well, I'll let you know when we make a new video. Don't forget to comment, rate, and subscribe.